Welcome, dear listeners. I'm Jonathan Carlin.
And I'm Benjamin Carlin.
And we invite you to join us through the Griffin door, your one-way ticket to the enchanting world of Harry Potter. So grab your wands and dust off your broomsticks and join us as we unlock the dark corridors inside Order of the Phoenix, Chapter 31, O.W.L.s.
All right. Big one. Ordinary wizarding levels.
Yeah.
Yes. So as I was looking at the title of this chapter, O.W.L.s, I was like, wait a second, because I feel like the S could be like maybe like lowercase or something. I don't know.
Right.
But then I was like, I think that the chapter titles are just in all caps. So I was like, ordinary wizarding levels. S?
Skills.
Skills. Well, then I was also like, oh, but there's no period at the end of S. So it's like, it is just like an S, like owl, like owls,
right.
You know? And so I like scribbled a little note on my page here. And then I was like, wait a second. No, I guess this just works. So whoever gets this page is going to see me being just like an idiot for a second.
Like, wait a minute. Work through it. I think I did something like that in this chapter as well, where I was like, oh, look at this. And then I just crossed it out and was like, never mind, that was dumb. Like, I've caught you now.
I know. I feel like at this point in time where, in the beginning of this, I feel like our pitch was like, we are Harry Potter experts. And then like sometimes I'm like, wow, this was a really dumb Harry Potter mistake I made.
I
know. Anyway, that's my bad. But just as a fun reminder, if you sign up for an annual membership over on our Patreon, we will basically cut the spine off of our books and we will mail you one of our pages that we will also sign. So,
and I will say that with that in mind, because I think we talked about it in the last episode, I just uncorked all of my highlighters and just grabbed them at random to highlight stuff in this one. So it is a very colorful chapter. So if you get one of my O.W.L. chapters, I don't know if you can see on the video, it is multicolored and fun and I love it. And I'm like, I'm just going to do this all of the time moving forward because it looks so much cooler.
Henceforth and for always. I literally tried to do the same thing. I was going to go watermelon with like pink and green on this one. And I busted out I uncorked because I really like your phrasing.
Yeah.
There. I uncorked my pink highlighter and it immediately started failing on me.
Oh no.
And there's this thing where like I will walk through the office to go and get like a new highlighter from like the bin.
Yeah.
And the staff looks at me every single time and they're just sort of like, you went through another one?
Went through another one, man.
And it's like, yeah. I mean,
nothing has taught me how quickly you can go through a highlighter than this project.
That's exactly it. Like, I don't know if it's the paper or if I'm just highlighting way more than I've ever highlighted in my life.
I mean, this paper just drinks in the ink, you know?
And yeah, you uncork your highlighter, the pages drink it in.
They can't drink it that much. It doesn't go through to the other side, though.
You're right. Yeah, absolutely.
That would be a real problem.
That would be dastardly.
Yeah,
to say the least. Okay, so anyway, all of our housekeeping aside, we're going to take a look at the chapter art for O.W.L.s, which is going to feature Harry looking positively appalled while not looking through a telescope. Hermione looking...
It's like he was just looking through and he's like, well, my word.
Well, goodness me.
Meanwhile, whoever is down beyond Hermione is just like, nothing to see. I'm still taking my test.
I know. I literally wrote, who even is this guy?
It's
like, pay more attention.
It's probably Ernie McMillan.
Listen, in my head, it now is.
Yeah.
Then you've got Hermione looking at Harry and she's got like a very like, what you looking at, Harry? So Harry's looking at the scene, Hermione's looking at Harry, and the other guy's looking at the sky like a total dork.
Right. Hermione's like, what are you doing? And Harry's just like, I say, Hermione, there's a commotion afoot down at Hagrid's.
I say. Oh, man. But otherwise, I do like the chapter. All right. There's always something fun about the negative space starry night in chapter art, which is basically like you've got like a shadowy fill in, and where there isn't drawn in is what the stars are, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like with the stars, the stars are like the same color as like the paper.
Right. It's just transparent.
It's just transparent.
Yeah.
That was me trying to imitate Snape talking about the difference between in theory and ghosts.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as Potter so
astutely pointed out.
Transparent. Well, that'd be the most useful, wouldn't it? If you was looking at him, you're not going to be asking, oh, you reanimated dead corpse. Or are you a ghost?
Oh man, but we're so far away from that. I don't know why we're talking about it now here in O.W.L.s, but
Not that far. It's like next year.
no, I mean we're closing in. We're closing in. Anyway, would you like to kick off today's analysis, Jay, with the first sentence of the chapter?
Yes. Ron's euphoria at helping Gryffindor scrape the Quidditch Cup was such that he could not settle on anything next day. And then the dragons arrived and ended the euphoria quite promptly, it must be said.
It must be said. I feel like this is so... it's very funny because I actually often call this the HBO formula because when I was in college, I got really enamored with, of all things, the show Entourage.
Great show.
And it was when I started to realize how HBO structures all of their episodes, which is that almost every single episode ends with our heroes being faced with like an insurmountable problem. And then the next episode will end with them heroically tackling said problem.
Right.
And then the next episode will introduce a new problem.
Right.
And it's like a rinse and repeat where every single episode you're either being like, I don't know what's going to happen next, or like, I can't wait to see what happens next.
Right.
And so this is, I feel like so often with Harry, it's like every single time something good happens, it's almost immediately followed by something terrible
Something
happening.
bad happens. Yeah.
That's right. And that's a little bit of today's chapter in the old nutshell.
Absolutely, it's going to be. And I guess Ron, at least he had that one day, but then the dragons just gobbled him up.
That's why Ron's not in the chapter art because
he's gone.
Because he has been eaten
dead.
alive.
By the dragons.
By the dragon.
They're like, your head's too big, Ronald.
Right. But speaking of Ronald, obviously he is going to be going through quite the beginning of this particular chapter because he has finally had success on the Quidditch pitch and he is just positively beaming with pride. And,
yes.
If you go back to the Mirror of Erised in year one and what Ron sees in the mirror, like this is Ron accomplishing one of his greatest ambitions.
Right.
Like he is holding the Quidditch Cup. And
he is a prefect.
He is a prefect. It is like, it is because of him. And
right.
like, so he is, I mean, you can't undersell the importance of somebody accomplishing their life stream.
Right.
It's like, this is not like just a big deal because it's like, oh, he won a thing. It's like, it's a big deal because like, this is like what he hoped he could accomplish at all.
And not only that, he did it like without, Fred and George there.
Right.
He did it without Harry there. So he's not in anybody's shadow. Ginny was there as well, but by her own admission, it is like I'm sure Ginny is just being humble, but she is acting as if it is Cho's poor play, not her great play.
Sure.
That allows for the victory. And it seems clear to everyone that it is Ron's overwhelming goalkeeping that keeps the score in a reachable zone.
I would absolutely agree. So this is like a really big deal. And then you've got the extremely awkward position that now Harry and Hermione are in because Ron's whole thing is sort of this idea of being just this like determined best friend, this like rock of a person with the exception of, Goblet of Fire in a moment in Deathly Hallows where there's that little bit of the jealousy over the Triwizard Tournament. And then there's like the Dumbledore must have always knew I was going to leave. And then Harry's like, but he always knew you were going to come back.
Always want to come back.
Exactly. So it's like Ron, he's been on the sideline forever. He finally gets to be in the spotlight. He's supported, Harry and Hermione along the way. And now finally it's like his moment to shine. And Harry and Hermione have both missed it. And they do not know how to break the news to him.
Yeah, especially because the reason they missed it is so much worse. They're just like, not only did we not go, but we have bad news. You now have to teach a giant English.
Yes. But in the meantime, too, I feel like there's another very important aspect of the beginning of this chapter because obviously it's going to say Neither was keen to be the one to bring Ron back to reality in such a quite brutal fashion. And so as such, it was another fine, warm day, and they persuaded him to join them in studying under the beech tree on the edge of the lake. And this is a very, very, very obvious parallel to Snape's worst memory. So what we've got going on here is Ron just positively riding high. And a lot of what we're going to see here is behaviors exhibited by Ron, like the ruffling of his hair and the regaling people and the looking to see if people are listening in. Like
the crumpling of his hair even.
Exactly, yes. It's like every single thing that James was doing is basically like what Ron, just being kind of high on life, is also doing right now. And we know that like as much as like Ron is proud of himself in this moment, he's not like defined by being like a self-absorbed individual.
Right.
And so I think that like when Harry's talking to Sirius and Lupin, like they are saying like he was 15 and Harry's like, but I'm 15.
Right. And it's like, yeah, but you have weird circumstances. Like look at your very best friend acting exactly like how we acted.
And that's it too. It's like, and this is where you have greater context for the overall picture. It's like in Snape's source memory, you were seeing James, and for all we know, especially if the Quidditch schedule and O.W.L.s align in the same manner, it's entirely possible that James is coming off of having just won the Quidditch Cup himself.
True.
Because they're exiting O.W.L.s. Like
right.
that's what Snape's source memory is involving. So it's like James could literally just be like the school hero right now.
Right then and there. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So I think that that's supposed to like give you a little bit more of an understanding for some of James' what appear to be more arrogant behaviors.
Right. Exactly. Of course, they're not going to attack anybody. But
yes, and I'm not trying to excuse all of James's behavior. I'm just trying to say that, like, when you, it's almost like James, in addition to bullying someone, also appears extremely arrogant. But the arrogance could be a little bit more of like the isolated incident than the bullying. The bullying's a problem no matter how you slice it.
And I mean, it's like even if it's not isolated, it's like they're not dealing with Voldemort in the same way that these three are dealing with. And like James is probably experiencing this kind of high like all of the time.
Right. Yes. Because he is, by, his best friend's description, the best at everything.
Right.
So he's got like a lot more going for him.
Right. But obviously he eventually wises up. In any case, Ron is giving us the a little bit of the breakdown from what happened during the Quidditch match because we didn't get to see it. He's just thinking like, oh, I missed out one of Davies. I thought you can do this, and then he does, and I love it. It's just like, yay!
I know.
Good for you. Like good positive self-talk for once, Ron.
Yes, and it's very funny though as well the way that he like goes into describing it because he's like, and I had about a second to decide which way to fly, because he looked like he was aiming for the right goal hoop, my right, obviously his left, but I had a funny feeling that he was fainting, and so I took the chance and flew his right. And well, what happened. And it's like he's adding all of these like almost like unnecessary details, like the recap, because otherwise the recap is basically like, it looked like he was going this way. Instead, he was going this way. I read it correctly. And so he's like, in order to make the story have like a little more fluff, a little more meat on the old bone, it's like he's adding like, because everybody knows their right from their left at this age. Yeah. Like, you don't need to describe like my right, his left.
Right.
It's like, we got it, Ron.
We got it, Ron. We got it. Yeah. But I love that Ron's just having a moment of confidence. Of course, he won't get to hang on to it because they're going to have to break the news to him. But whatever. And then he says, oh, did you see Chang's face when Ginny got the stitch right out from under her nose? And Harry's like, I suppose she cried. And he's like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. More off temper than anything. But you saw Chuck a broom and she got back to the ground, didn't you? Well, no, in fact, the only thing we saw in the whole match was that one goal you let in. Yeah. In fact, we left at that point. We were like, it's not going to be good.
We can't bear to watch.
Can't even.
Yes. And then I love this almost like cartoonish moment that says Ron's carefully ruffled hair seemed to wilt with disappointment. Like you can, exactly. Yeah. That's the sound effect it would make. Like, like it just sort of goes from like, oh, perfectly spiked and, like that windswept look to just like flat. Yeah. And he's like, You didn't watch. You didn't see me make any of those saves.
No, but Ron, we didn't want to leave. We had to. And he's like, yeah, how come?
Yeah.
Like, it was Hagrid. We'll throw him right under the giant triple-decker bus, man. He decided to tell us why he's been covered in injuries ever since he got back from the Giants. He wanted us to go into the Force with him. We had no choice. You know how he gets. You've met Hagrid.
I know. This is like a little, it's not, manipulative's the wrong word, but it's sort of like using that like, you know how it is. It's like putting the impetus on Ron to like understand.
Yeah, right.
And it's sort of like, well, But then they obviously go through the story in 5 minutes, which I assume means that they weren't discerning right from left. Like,
right, yeah.
you know, and then Grop showed up on our right. Well, his left.
His left in front of us, his behind, you know.
Exactly. But I do like the fact that like Ron seems to immediately sort of like absorb the gravity of the situation. So like as much as he could be disappointed that his best friends missed his like most heroic performance ever, it's like it says that by the end, Ron's indignation had been replaced by a look of total incredulity.
He's just like, wait, what now?
Right. Yes. It's like, and I think on some level it speaks to the, no pun intended, magnitude of this decision on Hagrid's part. He brought one back and hid it in the forest?
Yep.
No, he can't have.
Right. This seems like one of the things where Dumbledore, like when he's leaving, he could be like, by the way, Hagrid, just want you to know, I'll handle Grop for you. It's cool. I'll get rid of the forest so you can just sort of like focus on Umbridge and not getting fired. They're going to need you around here.
Exactly that. Yeah. Or even just go speak to the centaurs and just be like, listen, Hagrid's got this thing going on. It's deeply important to him. He's trying to keep it away from everybody else. Give him a little bit of like a wide berth for a few days. Like he's going to figure it out. You know, like Dumbledore has the ability to stride into the forest and just ask the centaurs to give him Umbridge back here in a few chapters. It's like Dumbledore, before you left, you could have done some just very light housekeeping.
Little bit of stuff to do. You know, you said like he says like, oh, the ministry will soon wish they never forced me out of Hogwarts. And it's like, what'd you do? What did you do? Why are they going to wish that? Are you going to attack the ministry or you're just going to show up and help them? Okay, yeah, I bet they wish they didn't get rid of you.
Yeah, all I could think is that what he's actually doing is going like to Cornelius Fudge's house through like covert missions and slowly replacing his shoes with slightly larger shoes. And Fudge is like waking up and being
he's just pranking Fudge.
He's just pranking
He's
Fudge.
just like, I such another glitter bomb last night. Cornelius, bet you wish I was still headmaster and didn't have all day to plan hilarious pranks.
I've loosened all the taps on his faucet so they drip.
He'll never know it was me.
Dumbledore, what a prankster.
What a prankster.
But yeah, so then Hermione's going to be further explain, well, he has. Grop's about 16 feet tall, enjoys ripping up 20-foot pine trees, and knows me, she snorted, as Hermie.
I mean, sort of.
Sort of. It does come up later.
It does, although I can't believe it.
It is shocking. Maybe we're not giving Grop enough credit here. Yeah. Ron gave a nervous laugh. And Hagrid wants us to teach him English. Yeah, said Harry. He's lost his mind, said Ron in a most odd voice.
And then Hermione, even though they're like breaking all this news to Ron in the course of 5 minutes, has thought it fine to just pull out a book mid-story. Yes, said Hermione, irritably turning the page of Intermediate Transfiguration. I'm like, kind of in the middle of a conversation here.
This is like Hermione's equivalent of like somebody like unloading like a very important piece of like personal trauma, and you just like having your phone out texting someone else.
That's exactly what it's like. Yeah,
it's like Hermione. I mean, undivided attention for a second.
Kind of a big one.
You just revealed to Ron that you didn't witness his greatest accomplishment. Like you could give him 5 minutes of your time.
It's just like, actually, we're gonna have to be teaching a giant stuff, and the giant calls me Hermie, apparently.
Yes.
Do you believe how you do this transfiguration?
Yeah, exactly.
Owls to opera glasses, I ask you.
Right, exactly. Which, by the way, trivia, I mean, that's like one of those where I'm like, oh gosh, I would never get it right.
But it'd be really hard. I mean, opera glasses and owls both have, I mean, I think the reason one goes to the other is that they have like the big eyes.
Yeah, so it's definitely like the old matchstick into needle. You know, it's like they're both kind of straight objects,
right?
Small straight objects. But anyways, so Ron's like, he's lost his mind, and Hermione's like, yes, I'm starting to think he has, but unfortunately, he made Harry and me promise. And Ron's like, well, you're just going to have to break your promise.
I'm afraid that's about as good as the paper it was written down upon, okay? Because I wasn't there, as you have acutely pointed out. I was off being a hero. Maybe we could talk about that a little bit more.
Right. Yeah.
We promised, and it's like, well, before you saw, though, right? So.
Yeah, it's like, I think that there was like, that contract was almost like, let's do the signature page first, and then we'll go over terms.
Right.
But yeah, anyway, so yeah, then Ron's going to be like, we're this close from being chucked out ourselves. We've got exams. And anyway, do you remember Norbert? Aragog? Have we ever come off better from mixing with any of Hagrid's monster mates? And then Hermione's like, I know, it's just That we promised.
Ron's like, yeah, but
Yeah.
but also I don't really feel like that matters to me.
I feel like this is a significant role reversal here where it seems like under reverse situation where like if Ron and Harry had come out, Hermione would be like, don't you remember Aragog or Norbert? Like, we can't do that. And, you know, it's like, and Ron was like, well, we promised, you know, it's like, so they seem like they're in different spots here, I think, than as it normally shakes out.
Doesn't bring up Buckbeak, I notice.
How about that? Yeah.
Ever come off better? It's like, well, Sirius came off better for you mixing with one of his monster mates.
There is that. There's that. Although then we also didn't bring up the Scroots, you know, which were also
that was
problem.
That was kind of a bad one. Also Fluffy, bit of a tricky one there.
Also that one.
I mean, that didn't hurt them, but like, you know,
could have
very much could have.
What was the warning at the beginning of year one? Like, if you don't want to
to die like a particularly painful death or something.
Right. Yes. Which makes me think that like Fluffy plays with her food.
Oh yeah.
They're
just like fighting over which head gets what. You know?
Eesh, yeah. Let's not think about that any longer.
Nope.
Let's see here. So then Ron's gonna be like, well, Hagrid hasn't been sacked yet, has he? And he hung up his
foreshadowing.
Yes, exactly. But this is also exactly what Harry said as well. It's sort of like, well, you know, we promised, but like, you know, he hasn't actually been let go yet, so maybe it just won't come up at all.
Maybe it won't come up, but I mean, and ultimately they won't really have to do anything. But the fact that they did meet Grop will pay off.
Yes, exactly. Yep. So anyway, it's also sort of like Hagrid's book-long commitment, where there's been like this air of mystery around like all of his injuries and everything, and you know, we finally have the answer to it, and that answer is going to show up just in time to be of significant plot convenience here in just a couple chapters.
Then we get a extremely poetic description of the grounds. The castle grounds were gleaming in the sunlight as though freshly painted. The cloudless sky smiled at itself in the smoothly sparkling lake. The satin green lawns rippled occasionally in a gentle breeze. June had arrived, but to the 5th years this meant only one thing, and then the window just comes crashing down and it's like their O.W.L.s were upon them. Cage match.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Like big bold letters with like a kind of like aggressive looking piece of steel that's got like cage match or O.W.L.s written like, you know, in like welding font.
Yeah.
So then we have the purposeful, feverish atmosphere drove nearly everything but the O.W.L.s from Harry's mind. Though he did wonder occasionally during potions lessons whether Lupin had ever told Snape that he must continue giving Harry occlumency tuition. Which is like one of those things where it's like, it would definitely seem like Lupin would have done this.
It definitely seems like he would have. And it's like, oh yeah, remember when Lupin said he was going to do that? Harry did think about it again. So that pretty much covers it.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Feels like Snape should have done something or Dumbledore should have done something.
Well, and again, that's the thing is that like Dumbledore's not at the school, which means he should be making regular check-ins at number 12 Grimmauld Place. And it feels like this would come up and it feels like it would just basically immediately be like Lupin saying to Dumbledore, yeah, Snape is not doing those lessons. And it seems like Dumbledore would be like, what?
Say what now?
Yeah. And I do not think Snape would defy a direct order from Dumbledore.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So
or he could at least be like, hey, McG, you need to pick up some slack here.
Yeah. Maybe Lupin is working on like a Lego Death Star or something.
Yeah.
He's just sort of like, I will get to it.
Slipped my mind. Not a lot to do at headquarters, gonna be honest. You were here, you know. We've just been rewatching old Star Wars movies and Padfoot ordered the Legos. It's a big project, really. But again, without magic, you know.
We're working hard. Our fingers kind of hurt from pressing all those little pieces.
Right? Have you ever done Legos, Harry? Probably not. The Dursleys probably didn't get you any.
Yeah, probably not. Plus, I transformed at one point in time, knocked the whole thing over.
Had to start
It was a huge mess. Anyway, how is occlumency? Oh, we didn't get back to it. Well, okay. Hopefully that doesn't cause any problems.
Did mean to mention that to Dumbledore. He was here last night. Should have said something. My bad.
He helped a lot though with the set.
Yeah, you know. His reparo spell is very tight, very specific. Got us right back to the page we were on.
Yeah, there we go. Oh man. Then we jump to Ernie Macmillan, who I feel like is exhibiting a very not relatable behavior, but a behavior I remember students exhibiting back during my like high school and college days.
Oh, really?
A bit,
Okay.
yes. Which would be like the constant conversation before tests about how prepared people were for them.
Right.
And the amount of studying he's doing to me is not relatable at all.
No.
This is the kind of thing where I'm like, I don't think that my brain could consume this much information throughout the course of the day. If people's brains were, I'm thoroughly impressed.
Because he's treating it more like a hobby. He's like got the gamification of studying on. He's just like, okay, here we go. These are my plans are. I'm going to study for now. I'm going to work in another half hour here. It's like he's like really excited about the idea of studying.
That's exactly it. Yeah. So how many hours do you think you're doing a day? And Ron's like, I don't know, a few. And he's like, more or less than 8. And it's sort of like a few definitely doesn't mean more than 8.
Because it's like in Ernie's mind, this is how everyone is approaching it, you know?
That's it. Yes. And Ron's like, less, I suppose. And it's like, Ron, you know it's less than 8.
Yeah. He's looking slightly alarmed. Yeah. Less.
I'm doing 8 or 9. I'm getting an hour in before breakfast every day. 8's my average. I can do 10 on a good weekend day. I did 9.5 on Monday. Not so good on Tuesday. Only 7.25. Then on Wednesday. And it's like, oh my gosh.
Dude, that's so much.
Yes.
Because you're still going to class.
And that's exactly it. But I do feel like this is less about bragging and more about like fortifying his own like concerns. Like this
absolutely.
He's definitely just nervous, and it's almost like he wants somebody to be like, wow, you're studying way more than me. And it's almost like, oh, good. Okay. That makes me feel like I'm
doing enough. Yeah.
I couldn't be more prepared.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that part is something I've had before, which is like I studied for like 3 hours. Is that about right? And it's like, yeah, it's about right. It's like,
dude, this was always just the worst the worst. It was just like stressful in college when it was like exam week, and it was just like, yeah, there really is almost no reason not to be studying all of the time, though.
True.
You know?
Yes.
Like,
you definitely put as much into it as you're able to. But the thing I usually found for myself was sort of like, at some point, I can only fit so much information into my brain, and I wish I'd just taken better notes throughout the semester.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Of course, you forget that immediately afterwards, but
also true.
Yeah.
Also true.
And then Draco's insecurities are more like, oh, it doesn't even matter whether or not I study. It's more about who you know, not what you know. You know.
Yes. But this is also very interesting for a couple of reasons. One is that he's sort of like, father's been friendly with the head of the Wizarding Examinations Authority for years. Old Griselda Marchbanks. We've had around for dinner and everything. And this is interesting to me because Griselda Marchbanks is one of the 2 people who resigned in protest when Dumbledore was removed from like the Wizengamot.
Oh, right.
And so it's sort of like, if anything, it feels like if Malfoy is anti-Dumbledore and Griselda resigned because of the treatment of Dumbledore, it's like, it's pretty apparent that she is not on your side.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, right away, Neville of all people is going to chime in, which is like a rare instance where I think Neville is basically able to be like, I don't think so, because Gran is friends with Griselda Marchbanks. And it's like, you know that Neville is coming from a much more earnest perspective here. And he's just like, she's never mentioned the Malfoys. And
which means that like Draco is lying straight up about Griselda Marchbanks coming around for dinner.
He's literally name dropping the head of the Wizarding Examinations Authority, which I can't help but think is not terribly higher than being like name dropping Arthur Weasley.
Right.
You know, like it doesn't seem like at the ministry this is one of the higher ranking positions.
Right. I don't even know if this would be a ministry position.
Well, maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
But also, I think Hermione's response is like, do you think that's true? Hermione whispered to Harry, and Ron looking frightened. Like, frightened is an interesting word choice, I think. It's like, frightened about what? That Malfoy will get good grades? Right?
It's like, do you somehow think that Malfoy would have so much sway over Griselda that he would be able to get your marks lowered?
Right, yeah.
You know, unless this is like Hermione being like, well, I'm supposed to be top of the class.
Right. What if because he knows her, he just gets like all O's, you know?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like this is almost like Hermione feeling like her own pride could potentially be bruised by the outcome of this situation, which there is nothing to, not from Hermione's perspective, but I do believe in Chamber of Secrets when Draco and Lucius walk into Borgin and Burke's and Harry's hiding inside of the Vanishing Cabinet. There is a conversation between Lucius and Draco about why he's not getting better marks.
Yeah.
And Draco specifically says like, that Muggle-born girl, Hermione Granger, keeps making us all look bad. Like, I think he like specifically brings her up.
Yeah.
And Lucius is like, you're letting like a Muggle-born outdo you?
Right.
Like, do better, Draco.
Do better. Yeah. And I mean, he will do pretty good. He gets at least an outstanding on potions, we know, because he's in the class ahead of time next year.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you really, if you start to read between the lines and take away like all of the arrogance of Draco, it actually does seem like he's a pretty good wizard at the end of the day. So we can't take too much away from him, but he is a constant jerk in the meantime.
Absolutely. As is Neville's grandmother sometimes. She says, Gran's always telling Professor Marchbanks I'm not as good as my dad. Well, you saw what she's like at St. Mungo's. And it's like, wow, what a terrible thing to say.
It really is. And the only good news here is that change is coming soon, but you'd almost wish that she would have just supported him throughout the entire thing, because it's kind of, she seems like a very fair weather fan in this regard. Like, you're going to have the really great moment. It actually gives me chills every single time I read it in Deathly Hallows, where somebody runs into her, I think Harry, and he's sort of like, have you seen Neville? And she's like, he's fighting naturally, or something like that.
Right.
And it's such a great moment because she just has like undying faith in him at that point in time. But I mean, it's never fun to be like, oh, I'm a huge fan of the team as long as they're winning. In the meantime, I'm kind of like disappointed with them. It's like, no, you got to support them through thick and thin.
Right.
So not exactly what you want to hear. This is also the first time that Neville has brought up the interaction at St. Mungo's since they were there, which is also kind of like ooh, man, okay, he brought it up.
He brought it up.
He acknowledged the thing.
I know, but to me that means it's just like he really trusts Harry, Ron, and Hermione.
Yes. And this is a friendship that is definitely becoming tighter by the day. And
Neville
will be part of the Sensational Six, sort of the expansion of the Golden Trio.
Right. Yeah. The Platinum Sextent, as it were.
The Platinum Sextent. This was a joke that we made on
on tour.
on tour, because I think that the Sextant is a group of six.
Yeah.
Yes. but we did sort of hyphenate the word a little bit.
For
comedic effect.
No doubt. We also learned that, also similar to things in year 2 where people were, there was like a black market trade for relics to keep away the heir of Slytherin and his monster. Now there is a black market trade for different brain elixirs and stuff, things to make you concentrate better, including it says Harry and Ron were tempted by a bottle of Barufio's brain elixir, which is not really that at all. It's just like powdered other, I don't know. It's fake stuff.
It is fake stuff. Yeah, I think the powdered thing is the powdered dragon claw, which comes from Harold Dingle. Down the page just a little bit there. So a little bit of trivia going on with that one. But the thing about the Barufio's brain elixir that kind of sparked in my mind was there was the kind of Pokemon Go version of like the Wizarding World's version of
Wizards
it.
Unite.
And you could in fact collect ingredients for Barufio's brain elixir, which made I think like more things appear, or
it gave you double experience.
Yeah, okay,
for
that's
like
what
half an hour or something. So despite Hermione say it's sort of like listed here as if it is like a scam.
Yes.
Or whatever, but in fact, you could like in that game you could use it to extremely great effect.
You absolutely could. The way that I read this then is that Barufio's brain elixir is a real thing in the Wizarding world. You could purchase it. However, what Eddie Carmichael is selling is a like fake version of it.
Oh God, please don't let that be trivia. Like, who's peddling Barufio's brain elixir? I want to say Barufio is also the one who mispronounced something and ended up with a buffalo on his chest.
Oh, is that why we get
right.
I think you're right,
yeah.
Which is why it's almost buffalo in name. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like a rhyme to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't forget the great wizard Barufio, who said something instead of something and ended up with a buffalo on his chest.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. There's something to that. Either way, Carmichael is trying to sell this for 12 galleons. Hermione confiscated it and poured the contents down a toilet, to which I can only imagine that Eddie Carmichael is like, you literally just cost me 12 galleons.
Yeah. like that was literal real brain elixir, Hermione. Okay.
Right.
Wow.
Yes.
Just trying to help.
Right.
And she's like, not going to help anyone get better grades than me, Eddie Carmichael.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Yes, we're not going to be doing that.
Who do you think you are, Griselda Marchbanks?
Yeah, Hermione, we wanted to buy that. Don't be stupid. You might as well take Harold Dingle's powdered dragon claw and have done with it. And then Ron's like, Dingle's got a powdered dragon claw?
Dingle? Where is he?
Not anymore. Confiscated that too. None of these things actually works, you know. And then Ron's like, dragon claw does work. And Hermione's like, I had a look at it and it's actually dried doxy droppings.
How do you know what dried doxy droppings look like, Hermione?
Well, she did help eradicate an entire infestation of doxies from number 12 Grimmauld Place earlier this year.
Sure.
We have lots of doxy related like instances of magic in this particular book.
We do.
Yeah, because it's
they're important.
Well, I think that I don't think the thing that Cormac is going to have missed Quidditch tryouts over is eating an entire pound of doxy eggs.
Pound of doxy eggs on a bet.
Yep. And then the doxy venom, I think, is incorporated into some of Fred and George's skiving snack boxes.
Yeah. You're right. Let's see. Then we get the news from Professor McGonagall that tells the class that their O.W.L.s are spread over 2 successive weeks, which sounds like absolute torture.
It does.
Jeez.
Yes. Yeah, that is a lot. That is a lot.
That is a lot of that. Like I feel like someone cast like Crucio on the O.W.L.s, and it's just like, yeah, this is just enjoy.
Well, okay, so let's think about this for a second too, because you would have 10 weekdays, and there are 12 total classes that you can take. So I guess the idea here is that you would have no more than
like one a day.
Then hopefully one a day, unless you're taking all 12 courses, which even Hermione is not doing.
Right. And it sounds like some of them have some of them they're doing 2 a day sometimes.
Yes.
I mean, you'd have days off.
Exactly. Yes. You'll sit the theory exams in the morning and the practical examination in the afternoons. And then, of course, astronomy will take place at night.
Well, but then if it's theory and practical for each class.
Oh, man. Could you imagine if you did have 2 in the same day?
Right.
You would end up having 4 examinations in one day.
Oh, my gosh.
Which that is just stressful enough.
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, whatever. Yeah. That's a lot. Of course, there's no remember-alls, no detachable cribbing cuffs, whatever those are.
Yeah, cribbing must be a word that is not in my vernacular, because that means nothing to me.
It means nothing to me.
But surely it is a thing. Let's see here. Yeah, and then McGonagall does say that every year somebody does try to pull one of these things off, and she's like, I can only hope that nobody in Gryffindor would be that person.
Right. Yeah, probably Hannah Abbott, breaking under the stress.
She's having quite the book.
She is every time Hannah Abbott comes up, she is on the verge of a breakdown.
She is. Maybe that's why her and because Hannah Abbott ends up marrying Neville, correct?
Yeah. Yes, correct.
So maybe they've got a little bit, cut from the same cloth.
A little nervous energy.
Nervous energy. Yeah. That's all. Yeah.
Of course, then we also find that Umbridge has asked the heads of houses to tell their students that cheating will be punished most severely because, of course, your examination results will reflect upon the headmistress's new regime at the school. And then I love her follow-up. She says, however, that is no reason not to do your very best.
This has gotta be.
It's I know what that sounds like. Tank your results. She'll look bad. Maybe she'll leave. Don't do that. Your futures are still important. I sympathize with you, but don't do it.
That's exactly it. Yes, this is such a line that McGonagall must be walking, where she's like, I've been educating you for 5 years. She has been here for 1 year and been a total pain in my buttocks.
Right.
And now she is going to take credit for all of the rest of our good and honest work.
Right.
And yeah, so it must be very frustrating from her perspective, but she cannot jeopardize the futures of her students. So.
Even the way she phrases it, has asked the heads of houses to tell the students that cheating will be punished most severely because your examination results will reflect upon the headmistress's new regime. It's don't cheat, not because it's wrong, but because it will reflect bad on me.
Right.
Yes. The lesson should be don't cheat because it is morally wrong, not because if you are caught, I will look bad.
Right. Yes. It's a interesting perspective there from McGonagall.
No, that's Umbridge's perspective.
Umbridge's perspective. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so anyway, then we have a little piece of trivia because our first exam is going to be Theory of Charms, which is not something I could have just pulled out of my back pocket if you asked me on the fly there. Let's see here, and Hermione is having Harry quiz her on everything, and then gets very agitated and keeps snatching the book every time to check to make sure that she got gotten the answer completely right.
Like, why don't you just do it yourself, Hermione?
Right, yes. And she's doing that from the book Achievements in Charming, which is also a little piece of trivia there.
Yep. Then it's the night beforehand. Dinner was a very subdued affair. Harry and Ron did not talk, but ate with gusto, having studied hard all day. To me, this is surprising because usually when they have nerves for Quidditch, they're like, we can't eat. I'm too nervous to eat. But now on this occasion, they're like, I'm so nervous, I'm starving.
That's it. Yes. Yeah. And then it's very funny because there's this moment where the doors to the Great Hall open and the examiners walk in, and Hermione's going to say, "Oh my goodness, is that them? Is that the examiners?"
Oh man, I imagine they're entering like they are entering the ring at a WWE match. Just kick the door in, bum, 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 sunglasses on,
That's
strobing lights. They look awesome. There's smoke coming, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, it's the O.W.L.s examiners."
That's exactly.
Look out.
Look out, yes, yeah. And of course, they're all just absolutely ancient human beings. With Griselda, I believe, having administered Dumbledore's exam.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, Dumbledore is about 114 at this moment.
Right.
Meaning that if she was able to examine him when he was 15.
Assuming Griselda is as young as possible at 18.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Then she must be 120. Yeah. Even more than that. Yeah. Oh yeah, I see what you mean. 120. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Right. But if she's as young as possible, she's only 3 years older than Dumbledore.
And my suspicion here would that in order to become the O.W.L. examiner is not the first job you do out of Hogwarts.
Probably not, especially since it seems like the model they're going for is really old person.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, unless they only hire for this once every 100 years.
Could be. Could be.
Yeah. Then Umbridge is going to immediately buzz over there and be essentially, I don't know if sucking up is the right word, but essentially try to ingratiate herself.
Because she knows she's bad at her job.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah. She's looking rather nervous. She's like, oh my gosh, now I'm actually going to be under review by people outside my authority. What do I do now?
That's exactly it. Yes. It's now there are people here who can judge her on anything.
Right.
And she is not comfortable with that. And I love her right away because she's like, no, I haven't heard from Dumbledore lately. She had peering around the wall as if he was going to suddenly emerge. No idea where he is, I suppose. And Umbridge is not at all. But I dare say the Ministry of Magic will track him down soon enough. And then Marchbank's I doubt it. Not if Dumbledore doesn't want to be found.
Oh, I doubt it. It's she doesn't even think it's unreasonable for him to just still be there.
Exactly. Which we know the headmaster's office has barred Umbridge. So it's entirely possible he's just up there.
Oh my gosh, I know. Yeah, I'm still here. Don't worry.
Right.
Yeah, I doubt it. Examined him personally in Transfiguration and Charms when he did NEWTs. Did things with a wand I'd never seen before. Now that's saying something.
That is saying something because it's you would figure, and of course this is coming from our version of standardized tests in the state of Virginia, but we have SOLs. And SOLs are one of those things where you don't have a lot of opportunity to exhibit strengths beyond answering the questions correctly.
Right.
And so and we do see it with Harry even as well, where he is going to be given a bonus point for casting his Patronus.
Right.
And so maybe that's the kind of thing where it's sort of you get to the end of the examination and you've completed all the suggested tasks and they're like, anything else to show me?
Yeah, I know. It's when they're like, oh, could you make this pineapple tap dancer on the desk? He's like, I'll do you one better. I'm going to transform it into a tropical dancer and they're going to dance the cha-cha around the entire Great Hall. Sound good?
Yeah.
Ready? Go. And they're like, whoa!
Now that is superb.
Did you just do that? That was cool.
Yes. Let's see here. So yeah, now Harry's just a little bit nervous because the night before the examinations, and he's just kind of recalling the consultation with McGonagall and her furious declaration that she would help him become an Auror if it was the last thing that she had done. And he wished he had expressed more He wished that he had expressed a more achievable ambition now that the exams were here. And I've certainly been there as well before too.
Yeah,
it's you become very humble very quickly.
Right, oh man, I don't know if I'm really good enough for this job actually after all. Yeah. But you have all the Gryffindors freaking out, Parvati practicing incantations under her breath while the salt cellar in front of her twitched, Hermione reading Achievement in Charming, Neville kept dropping his knife and fork. knocking over the marmalade.
The marmalade.
The marmalade.
That's
yes.
right, yes. And so then when it is, of course, time, the 4 house tables are removed from the Great Hall and instead replaced with many tables for 1. And so this is going to be kind of replicating the scene that Harry would have seen, again, in Snape's worst memory.
Yes,
So
surprisingly, it's Professor McGonagall doing this now instead of Flitwick, even though Flitwick was the one doing it back then. So
that is a little bit surprising.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's any possibility that like Flitwick at that point in time was like the deputy headmaster.
ooh, that's possible.
You know,
yeah, it
like-
doesn't always have to have been McGonagall.
No, certainly
Yeah.
not. Like,
but
I
that
guess-
would mean that he was it over Dumbledore? Or no, Dumbledore would have been headmaster then, wouldn't he?
I believe he would have. Yes, he would have been.
Yeah.
Because Dippet would be gone at that point in time. Because we know that Dumbledore is in charge when Lupin arrives, because he's the one who plants the Whomping Willow. Could be that Flitwick would have just had seniority at that point in time, or was like the residual. Or I don't know. I mean, it doesn't matter necessarily. I'm just trying
Yeah.
to think of what would cause this position change.
Yeah. Because it doesn't super matter. Maybe they just rotate.
Maybe they just rotate.
Yeah.
Yes, like who does it each year?
Yeah. Then, of course, we get to the exam. We only get to find out one question, which is like a very year 1 question, which is, how do you do Wingardium Leviosa? Basically.
Yes, exactly.
Like, okay, wow, that was like year 1. Like, how hard did we need to study, you know?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, little swish and flick.
Yeah.
If I may.
Yeah.
And so then we cut to after the examination. Hermione's like, well, it wasn't too bad, was it? I'm not sure I did myself justice on cheering charms. I just ran out of time. Did you put in the counter charm for hiccups? I wasn't sure whether I ought to. It felt like too much. And it's
Right.
like, it felt like too much.
Felt like too much.
Oh.
This is also a bit of an Easter egg here, because if you recall, back when Hermione's using the time turner, she misses the class about cheering charms.
Well, howdy.
So there
Yes,
you go.
you're right.
So
Yes.
sure enough, she doesn't know them as well.
Yes, it's like the first class she's like ever missed, and it's because she like fell asleep on her books.
Yeah.
Yes. And she's like, oh my gosh, I must go speak to Flitwick right away.
Right.
Yeah.
There's like a bunch of little like things like that in this particular chapter where I feel like there's callbacks to other classes and stuff that they've had.
It definitely seems like it. And I guess that like a large part of that is because it's like you don't get glimpses into an enormous number of classes. So it's almost like let's hail back to what you, the reader, know they've learned.
Yeah.
You know, because that makes some amount of sense. Otherwise, it would just be like coming up with new things that's sort of like, I don't even know what that is.
Right. Yes. I know exactly. But just for the reader, it's just much more. It makes you feel smarter.
Right.
Then the fifth years have to go eat lunch right back in the Great Hall, to which I'm like, man, that's just rude. You make them go right back to where they just were for the test. That's terrible.
I know. Yeah. It's like we can't escape this place.
Can't get out of here.
Right. Yep.
But then we also find they're going to go do their practical examination. It says they're occasionally they're practicing like wand movements for this, occasionally poking one another in the back or eye by mistake. I'm like, how bad is everyone's aim? How hard is it to not poke someone in the eye?
And like, you know, stand slightly further apart. Yeah.
Don't do it at eye level. Like, what is going on? Is this just like wand height? Gosh.
Wizards would have failed miserably at social distancing.
They would. They would have been bad because they probably wouldn't have been subject to things like COVID.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Yep.
But then also they get called in alphabetically. So they get called in Anthony Goldstein, Gregory Goyle, and Daphne Greengrass, who I think this is like one of her only mentions. But Daphne Greengrass must certainly either be like the cousin or sister of
Draco's future
wife, Astoria Greengrass.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. Yes. And this is another interesting one because we were just recently doing a video on Super Carlin Brothers, or else I wouldn't have caught this particular detail. But there is the like original 40 names that basically were outlined as like potential characters to use throughout the series. And in that original 40 names, there is actually one listed as Queenie Greengrass, which is interesting because it's ultimately obviously changed to Daphne here. The Greengrass is not really used throughout the story otherwise, but then Queenie's name is actually then transplanted to the Fantastic Beasts series where it's Tina's sister. So,
where it is Tina's sister.
Yeah. So it's interesting.
Those are the Goldstein sisters, and Anthony Goldstein is also mentioned in the sentence.
There you go. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So lots of like little connective bits of tissue kind of going on there.
Yeah, absolutely. Then this is there's like a little bit of like tiny theory fodder here. Or maybe some conclusions you can draw, because when Harry is called in, they call in Parkinson Pansy, Patil Padma, Patil Parvati, and Potter Harry. Interestingly, if you go back to Harry's sorting, they are missing a student here by the name of Sally Ann Perks.
Oh, wow. Okay,
yes,
Did not catch that.
Who
That's
gets
a good
sorted before Harry. So The theory is that Sally Ann Perks' parents have removed her because of the Dumbledore ministry conflict.
Oh,
like
interesting.
they're on the side of the ministry and don't want her going to Hogwarts.
I see. Because even at the beginning of the book, this is like a Seamus problem, right?
Right.
Like my mom didn't want me to come back this year.
And I think the Patil twins are sort of under threat of this as well.
Right. I mean, it makes sense. This is the kind of the divide that you see like in any political atmosphere at all, where it's like it kind of gets sliced right down the middle, and you never have a clear idea of like what people's parents may believe as well, who have authority over their children at this point in time.
Yeah, you don't know. So who knows? Sally Ann, we don't know what house Sally Ann Perks was in. It is possible that she's just one of the fourth or fifth Gryffindor girls, but it seems like Hermione would have brought that up.
It does.
Yeah,
it does. It feels like otherwise. But I guess it's like one of those things where it's like if you introduce them, you got to give them like a story, and maybe it's just too complicated.
Well, anyway, Sally Ann Perks is missing. So for one reason or another, she's no longer at Hogwarts.
Yeah, so look for an SCB video in the near future. It's like, whatever happened to Sally Ann Perks?
What happened to that girl?
People are going to be like, who?
Exactly. She gets mentioned once and then failed to be mentioned one other time.
Right. Yes. It's absolutely giving Agatha Timms Eel Farm.
It is. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, so then it's Harry's turn to step up, and Ron's going to be like, good luck. And as Harry walks in, Professor Flitwick is going to say, Professor Tofty is free, Potter. And Harry's going to say that he looked like the very oldest and baldest examiner, which is now saying something because it means that Tofty is potentially older than Marchbanks.
Right. These are some ancient wizards here.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Potter, is it? The famous Potter? That's me. No big deal.
Right. Meanwhile, Malfoy is actively working with Professor Marchbanks or Griselda Marchbanks rather. Yeah. And sure enough, out of the corner of Harry's eye, he sees Malfoy throw a scathing look over at him. So,
I love that Malfoy is in the middle of an exam and has time to eavesdrop mid-spell.
That's right. Yeah.
What's that, Potter?
Right.
Huh? What's that?
Although it does cause Malfoy to have the levitating wine glass crash to the floor any which way. So, at that point in time, it's sort of like Harry's just arrival at all has caused Malfoy.
How embarrassing that he messes up Wingardium Leviosa, though.
True.
That should just be like, all right, let's just get started here. Can you just float this wine glass? It's just like, yes. Very good. Okay.
Maybe go on to something slightly more complicated.
Right. Just, yeah.
Yes.
But then there's another little throwback here where it says, though he wished he had not mixed up things, it says, on the whole, Harry thought it went rather well. His levitation charm was certainly much better than Malfoy's, though he wished he had not mixed up the incantations for color change and growth charms. So the rat he was supposed to be turning orange swelled shockingly, which feels like a throwback to the train ride in year one, where Ron's like, Fred's giving me a spell to turn him yellow. You want to see?
Yeah.
And he's sort of like, yeah, Fred's just messing with you. But apparently there is a color change spell that will work on rats, and maybe Ron just couldn't do the spell.
Well, maybe Ron couldn't do the spell, or maybe because it's Scabbers is not an actual rat.
Right. Yes.
Is the other detail. So Sunshine, Daisy, Buttermellow, turn this stupid rat yellow.
Right.
Yep. Also funny that the comparison for the rat being quite large is the size of a badger, just because that would also be like the symbol of Hufflepuff House.
Right. Yes, that is. That's true. And then let's see. He didn't do as bad as Ron, who managed a dinner plate, who caused the dinner plate to mutate into a mushroom and had no idea how it happened. Classic Ron.
That's the kind of thing where it's like, okay, so you got that wrong. Could you at least explain why?
And Ron's like,
I don't know.
It'd be like, come on, man. It's like the shape of a plate is like kind of like the top of a mushroom, This is like a simple.
Yeah.
You could chalk that up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. But then sure enough, there was no time to relax that night. So right away they go into studying for Transfiguration the next day. Harry went to bed, his head buzzing with complex spell models and theories. But I guess it's a good thing that it's not buzzing with thoughts of the dark corridor and the mysterious door.
Oh, I know. It seems like he's doing a good job of at least like blocking it out for now.
Yeah. Which is like another one of those things where it's like Snape is not giving him occlumency lessons, but oddly enough, right now he doesn't fully need them.
Yeah.
You know, like
Right.
it's like he actually is closing his mind.
Right.
So it's like,
Yeah. It's like instead of closing his mind, he's just like filling it to capacity though.
he's just distracted. But you know
Right.
what? Honestly, given the objective, it's like, and how poor he is at occlumency otherwise, it's like, well, this is something.
Maybe this is something.
Just
yeah.
a separate defense mechanism.
Yeah. The next thing he has to do for his switching spell exam, I feel like is an absolute throwback to, I feel like this is an Easter egg for the movies because the first movie would have come out by now. And it says, at least he managed to vanish the whole of his iguana. And it's just like, is this a reference to Quirrell holding that iguana for no reason?
Yes.
Like, I feel like it is.
Oh my God. It's one of my favorite moments when McGonagall goes and interrupts Quirrell's teaching to pull Oliver Wood out to introduce him to Harry for the Quidditch team. And he's like, could I borrow Wood for a moment? And Quirrell's like, of course.
He's just holding an iguana. Incredible. So Harry manages to vanish the whole of his iguana here. But poor Hannah Abbott lost her head completely at the next table and somehow managed to multiply her ferret into a flock of flamingos. Oops.
Wow. The ferret could also be a little reference there to Malfoy.
To Malfoy, it could, yeah.
Very, very light, but indeed.
Yeah. Do you think she had any idea why she did it? Or
it does not.
Could you at least tell me how this happened, Miss Abbott?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if we spent enough time, if we could figure out, like, based on like the Latin name for ferrets and flamingos, they both start with F.
Yeah,
so I guess there's that. Yeah. But also transforming the amount of matter involved in a ferret into a flock of flamingos.
One ferret obviously equals 6 flamingos.
All I can think is
worth
that
of matter.
the flamingos must be hollow on the inside.
They're hollow as the ancient test examiners.
That's exactly it. Yes.
They barely exist. Then they get a herbology exam, and other than a small bite from a fanged geranium, Harry felt he'd done reasonably well. It's like, you get points off for getting bitten by something?
I know that feels like
unfair.
Like a harsh one.
Yeah.
But then that's literally just the only sentence we get for herbology. So pretty easy going on in there. Thursday, we finally have Defense Against the Dark Arts, and Harry, for the first time, was sure that he had passed.
Passed, Harry. The first time you felt sure you'd passed. Like, they do not give themselves enough credit. They're always like, we barely even know how to do magic. We don't understand anything, mostly.
Right. Yes, exactly.
I probably failed most of them until now.
Yeah. But I do like the fact, though, it says he took particular pleasure during the practical examination in performing all the counter jinxes and defensive spells right in front of Umbridge, who was watching coolly from near the doors into the entrance hall. And Professor Toffee is like, oh, bravo! When Harry demonstrated a perfect Boggart banishing spell.
Ridiculous!
Also known as Ridiculous. Very good indeed. Well, I think that's all, Potter, unless, and he leaned forward a little, I heard from my dear friend Tiberius Ogden, who, by the way, is the other person who resigned in opposition to I think the High Inquisitor position.
I see.
That was going on there, which actually, as I now refresh my memory, is why Marchbanks also resigned. So they did that together. But anyway, Tiberius Ogden has let Tofty know that Harry can produce a Patronus, and he is now asking him to do so for a bonus point.
And now Harry does like the Too Fast, Too Furious move where he looks directly into her eyes and just does it without even thinking.
Yeah. He did the stare and drive, didn't he?
I taught him that.
Yeah. He got that from me.
He did the stare and spell, didn't he?
The silver stack emerged from the end of his wand.
Oh, love it.
Professor Tofty clapped his veined and knotted hands enthusiastically.
Glad we got a description of his hands.
I know, yes.
Veined and knotted.
It's visceral.
It is visceral. Also, can't help but feel like this should also count for his charms exam, you know?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes, indeed. I mean, I guess it's a defensive charm, and Lupin is his Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, but charm is right there in the name.
It's the Patronus charm.
Yeah, it is. No. I agree with you. Yeah.
He should get an O in charms for this.
He absolutely should.
Yeah.
He absolutely should. Yeah. Excellent. He said, very well, Potter, you may go.
There you go.
Yeah. I love as Harry passed Umbridge beside the door, their eyes met. There was a nasty smile playing around her wide, slack mouth, but he did not care. Yeah. Unless he was much mistaken, he had just achieved an outstanding O.W.L.
Fact
indeed. We will get that verification later in Half-Blood Prince. Do you think that the smile that's playing around her mouth is like, I'm firing Hagrid over this?
Firing Hagrid over this?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because like
you're like, I'll get you back for that.
That's exactly it. Because it's like, I don't know why she has a nasty smile playing around her mouth. Like she just got her butt kicked for all intents and purposes. Like in front of a neutral third party, Harry absolutely impressed.
I mean, I suppose you could say like, it's like, oh, yeah, you may have impressed, but that just makes me look good.
Well, I mean, I guess there's that, but like,
yeah.
She knows in her heart of hearts that that's not true.
Oh, I know. Yes. Yeah. She knows that she's been owned.
Right.
I think so. Fortunately, then let's see, they have the weekend in front of them. They permitted themselves a break from studying, to which I was like, good for you. You got to give yourself a break at some point.
You got to let your brain click back into space, like let it go out of stress mode, get all that, those negative hormones out of there and kind of refresh.
Yes. But of course, Hermione comes in. She has messed up some runes. And then she's mistranslated O.W.L.s, said Hermione furiously. It means partnership, not defense. I mixed it up with O.W.L.s.
It's like, goodness. Yeah. So for spelling's sake, the only difference here is that the second word has an I after the E. So EHWAZ versus EIHWAZ, which like the examiner may literally chalk up to like a spelling error.
Right.
Possibly.
Yes. It is very, very close in pronunciation and shape. They do look differently. O.W.L.s looks like an M, whereas O.W.L.s actually kind of looks like a lightning bolt, which is interesting because the actual rune O.W.L.s means mysteries of life and death.
Oh.
Which feels important to where they're heading in the next chapter.
That's interesting. That's interesting. So, okay. So which one looks like an M?
The first one, O.W.L.s.
O.W.L.s, which is partnership.
Yeah. Or also working together for common goals. So yes, partnership.
Okay. This is going to be like way too reachy, but October 31st is the day that Lily and James are attacked. Mm-hmm. And that would be within the month that involves the star sign Scorpio.
Okay.
Which is the shape of an M.
Oh,
the symbol for Scorpio. And Lily and James are a partnership, and Lily's sacrifice for Harry could represent partnership.
Right.
And then lightning bolt is the symbol that would be marked on Harry on that same very evening. And it is part of his defense against Voldemort.
Interesting. Now, so my other interpretation, too, because I looked up like further meanings of these runes.
Okay.
But just based on what's on the page where it says like so what Hermione has mixed up here is partnership and defense, which to me is funny because she has a constant like bickering relationship with Ron where they're both very defensive with each other all the time. So it's like she can't tell the difference between how you're supposed to act with a partner.
I like yours better.
Right. It's like she's always defensive with Ron, but actually she likes him. And it's like, I don't know how to tell you I like you kind of thing.
It's the thin line. I mean, and I don't think Hermione and Ron ever hate each other, but it's the thin line between love and hate type thing where it's like sometimes the person you do battle with is also the person that like is the right person in the most weird way.
Well, it's like they feel the most they feel what is the word? They can let their guards down. It's like it looks like they're putting their guard up, but this is the only person they'd feel comfortable arguing their honest feelings with.
I always thought that it took me a long time to realize this, but like our mom, like growing up, was like probably the only person who I feel like I would like have like a childhood shouting match with.
Right. Yeah.
And I think it's because it was probably the only person I had enough comfort to be like, you will still love me despite this.
Right. It's like that is something you have to learn. Like it's like a lot of parenting things. It's like if your child's yelling at you, it's because they probably had to like bottle up a lot of things all day and like keep it in, and you're the only person they feel comfortable showing these emotions to.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%.
So I think that's a little bit of what happens with Hermione and Ron a lot of the time.
Yeah. I love that. Great observation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
But then Hermione says, oh, shut up. It could be the one mistake that makes the difference between a pass and a fail. And I'm like, you guys, that is not the difference. Even if you got one question wrong, like Hermione has no, like they always think they're just about to fail.
They do. Yeah. And it's like Hermione literally the difference between the inclusion of one letter I, if it was spelled out versus like the shape of the rune in this particular instance, it's like, that to me, any good professor would give you 3/4 point for that. Like, it's like you're not like egregiously wrong.
Right. Sure. And then we also find out that someone put another Niffler in Umbridge's office. And it says, by the sound of it tried to take a chunk out of her leg, to which I'm wondering, like, what is she wearing that's so shiny on her leg?
She's been watching the Era Store.
Yeah.
On Netflix.
You think she's got like an ankle bracelet or something?
Well, I was going to say that she's wearing like shiny leggings.
She's got, Umbridge is wearing shiny leggings, Taylor Swift style.
Oh,
no.
A little ahead of her time, given the fact that at this point in time, Taylor Swift would be canonically 6. But not, 6, I think.
Yeah.
So, either which way though, she could be a fan.
I guess she could be a fan.
Her early work.
Right. Yeah. I don't think they could have more different body shapes.
I fully agree.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift is like tall, and majestic, whereas Umbridge
people are like, what's Taylor Swift look like? And you'd be like, it's hard to describe her, but I would say not a toad, first of all.
I think, imagine a toad,
reverse it.
Yeah, the exact opposite. Yeah. I like my little note here too, because it says, good, said Harry and Ron together, and I wrote, and Ben.
Yeah, and Ben. Said Harry and Ron together, and Ben.
And Ben, yeah. So I want to be included in that good. And Hermione's like, it's not good, said Hermione hotly. She thinks it's Hagrid doing it, remember? And we do not want Hagrid chucked out. At this point in time, I feel like it's more because of the Grop situation and less because of the friendship situation.
Yeah, right, yes. Yeah.
It's like, do you remember what happens if he gets chucked out?
And Harry's like, he's teaching. She can't blame him. To which I said, so naive, Harry. And then literally the next sentence is, oh, you are so naive sometimes. And I was like, oh, that worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Hermione is determined to be in a towering temper because of her, ancient runes quiz, I guess. And then, or not test, O.W.L. exam.
Yeah, I was
more than a quiz.
More than a quiz. Pretty important.
And then there's another little, you could read into it if you want, where it says, Ron says, such a lovely, sweet-tempered girl, said Ron very quietly, prodding his queen forward so that she could begin beating up one of Harry's knights, which is like, to me, like, Hermione's obviously the queen in Ron's life.
That's right. Yes. Because I literally wrote like, your love, this is the person that you will end up with. So it's like he could be saying it ironically, but I also think that like truly at his core, he feels it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then we make it through Saturday and Sunday, where they spend most of their day studying for potions on Monday. And this is basically the moment where Harry is sort of coming push to shove, because it would be the downfall of his ambition to become an Auror, because it's just highly unlikely that he's going to be able to clear an O, which is what Snape requires in order to get admittance to the 6th-year potions class.
Right. Of course, at least one of the questions is about Polyjuice Potion, which he can describe the effects of extremely accurately, having taken it illegally in his 2nd year. Although, dare I say, it's crazy to me that they don't try all of the potions they make. Like, you should be able to describe the effects of every potion you take or you've made because you used them and were like, wow, this strengthening solution is really good. I took it and then I could lift stuff for an hour,
Exactly.
Or whatever.
If there was I would definitely take a strengthening solution. I don't know why it's never occurred to me that this was like a bodily strengthening solution. Like in my mind, it was like to make a board stronger.
Oh, right. You just poured on some wood.
Yeah, exactly.
It's now this wood is stronger.
They must have put strengthening solution on this bad boy. I can stand on it.
I tell you what, it's got biceps and everything now.
Are those abs?
Talk about doing planks.
Oh, good one. One. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, thank you.
But yeah, then we learned that the afternoon practical was not as dreadful as he expected to be. With Snape absent from the proceedings, he found that he was much more relaxed than he usually was while making potions. And even Neville, who was sitting very near Harry, looked happier than Harry had ever seen him during a potions class. And this is just another one of those things where it's sort of like, as much as like Snape has this like underarching, mystique to his character, and he actually is a good guy the whole time and all this type of stuff. It's like, this is where I feel like the true failing of his character is shining the most. It's like, if your students are doing poorly in your class because they're so intimidated by you, it's like, then you shouldn't be a teacher.
Right.
Like, it's like the whole point of you being there is to make people excel at what you're teaching them, not worse at it.
Right.
Which is exactly what this is saying has happened.
Yeah. Yes. And then same thing as ever, Harry corked his sample flask, feeling that he might not have achieved a good grade, but that he had, with luck, avoided a fail. And it's like, what do you mean? Come on, man. Like, you think you've gotten, I don't know if I did good. I doubt I did good, but but God willing, and with a little bit of luck and a pinch of salt, I might not have failed.
Is it not the case that he gets and exceeds expectations?
Yes, he does fine.
Right. It's like, and that's even like where you feel like the lily of it all is shining through. It's like this should, I mean, not that like specific academic achievement is translated into your children or anything like that, but like it feels like they always talk about Lily being good at potions.
It does.
She's a dab hand or whatever.
Dab hand at potions. Lily
Right.
was.
So you would certainly think that like on some level Harry should also not have like an active anything about him that's preventing him from being good at it.
Then I'd have to assume this is just like a British thing where it says nobody was foolish enough to snap back at Hermione. She was unable to vent, so she was unable to vent her spleen on any of them. Like, excuse me.
This is like I imagine she vented a whole spleen on me earlier today.
Oh, I got spleened, man.
Right. And it's like you know what I mean. It's like actually I don't.
I really don't. Yeah.
So any of our British listeners, be sure to let us know if that's a thing.
Right.
Let's see here. Harry was determined to perform well in Tuesday's Care of Magical Creatures exam so as to not let Hagrid down. And this is like one of those things where we're going to get a description of what they have to do. And it all seems like things that you would expect them to be pretty decent at. And it's almost surprising given the fact they spend all of year 3 working on flobberworms and all of year 4 working on blasted scroots.
Right.
It's sort of like... It's like, when it really comes down to it, they're doing like the gnarls.
Right.
Let's see here. You have to be able to like demonstrate the proper handling of a bow truckle.
Which is like, what, hold it?
Exactly, yes. I mean, without it slicing your finger open, which is what I'm pretty sure happened to Harry the last time because he gripped it so tightly. Right. And then feed and clean a fire crab, which just as a reminder is actually like a bejeweled tortoise.
Right.
Without sustaining burns. So I don't know. I mean, I guess, if it's fire breathing, that makes it a little bit more dangerous.
Right.
And then choose from a wide selection of food, the diet that they would give a sick unicorn, which is also something we know they have a lesson on. So it's like, there's really not a whole lot of reason for them to not do pretty well at this.
I know, right? This feels like a should be a slam dunk, easy A sort of, or easy O, as it were.
An easy O, yeah, nice.
Although I think does he only get an O in Defense Against the Dark Arts?
I believe he does.
Yeah,
yes.
That's crazy too.
Well, I think it's like one of those things where it's like we think of O's as getting like if you get 12 O.W.L.s, it means you got O's on everything, but I think you get an O.W.L. as long as you pass.
As long as you pass, you get the O.W.L.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So I guess there's that going for it. So I think Harry ends up doing pretty good. I think he gets like 7 or something.
Yeah. I guess my loose translation is that like O's are A's.
For sure. So if you're looking at it from like a GPA standpoint,
right? It's like I can't believe he doesn't get an A in more things. The fact that he has to do the Patronus to get the O in Defense Against the Dark Arts makes it feel like maybe like O's are more like A plus.
Like you basically got like a perfect score.
Yeah, like you got a perfect score as opposed to an E where it's like, you did really well, but
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. Then we get to astronomy. Harry was not convinced that he'd gotten the names of all of Jupiter's moons right, but was at least confident that none of them were inhabited by mice, which is a little correction to earlier where Harry and Ron are working on an astronomy paper. And I think it's at the point in time where Hermione is like refusing to help them on anything and does ultimately make a correction that Jupiter's moon is covered in ice and not mice.
Yes. I'm like struggling to determine what on earth the difference between your practical and your theory exam on astronomy would be if one of them was labeling moons and one of them is staring at the stars and labeling moons.
It's a good point.
They seem so similar.
Yeah, unless one of them's more just sort of like, do you remember all of the names, and the other one is like, could you place them on like a star map?
I know, but I'm like, even that they give you like a star chart and you just have to like name them. What couldn't you just commit that to memory? Do you need to look at the stars to do that?
It's a fair point.
I suppose it could be like an empty and you have to like show where. It'd be like here's what it could be. It could be like, here's a list of things in the night sky. I need you to put on this map where all of them are right now.
I think that is what happens.
Okay.
That would be my thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Although to that, I'm going to have so many thoughts about Harry's astronomy exam, but let's just continue forward.
Okay. Sure thing. Then we get to divination, and it's like it says that even by Harry's low standards in divination, the exam went very badly. And Ron's going to be like, wow, we were always going to fail that one.
Yeah.
Which I think is fair, because it seems like even according to Ferenz, it's not really like a subject you can like excel at.
Well, Percy got it though. He got it.
I understand, like, and maybe it's just like if you read the textbook properly, you could answer the questions correctly.
Right.
I don't know about the practical. That's one where it's just like I don't know how that would work. It's like if you can't see even Dumbledore is like unsure about carrying the subject at all.
Right.
You're right though. So I don't know how he's pulling that off.
Yeah.
I love the fact though that Ron is attempting to see something in the crystal ball and ends up describing the ugly man with a wart on his nose, only to look up and realize that he'd been describing the examiner's reflection.
Well, I think this one's funny too. It says, or Harry said, Professor Marchbanks would shortly be meeting around, or on the tea leaves says, Professor Marchbanks would shortly be meeting a round, dark, soggy stranger, and rounded off the whole fiasco by mixing up the life and headlines on her palm and informing her that she ought to have died the previous Tuesday, which honestly feels like it could be correct.
It does feel like it could be correct. It's
like,
sort of like,
oh, wow.
At the end of the day, like, I mean, let's just say she was like 30 when she examined Dumbledore. It would roughly mean she's 130 years old.
Right. It's like, actually, you are in bonus time now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Last Tuesday. You're doing great, but last Tuesday should have been it.
Should have been it. Yes.
Well done, though.
But watch out next Tuesday.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I love Ron's also things like from now on, I don't care if my tea leaves spell die, Ron, die. I'm just chucking them in the bin.
I'm telling you right now, I don't believe in reading tea leaves. If mine say die, Ben, die, I'm freaking out.
Like, what now?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't either, but that would be hilarious. I also don't drink tea with leaves. I just have the bags. So.
I know. I'm right there with you. Yeah. But either way, kind of hilarious. That line literally makes me actually laugh out loud when I read it.
Yes. Okay, so now we get to the astronomy exam, which is, of course, not really about the exam. And yet, when they reached the top of the astronomy tower at 11 o'clock, they found a perfect night for stargazing. Cloudless and still. The grounds were bathed in silvery moonlight. Okay, so right there, right out of the gate, even an amateur stargazer can tell you that's not a perfect night for stargazing because the moon is so bright, it's going to be blocking the other things.
We're getting like light pollution from the moon.
Right, you're getting light pollution from the moon. You want no moon for perfect stargazing. Harry. You'd expect a fifth year to know that. Especially astronomy is like the class they never talk about, but at least once a week they're staying up till midnight as mandated by their class schedule to wear themselves out.
It's true. They better keep the next morning clean at least.
Yeah.
But then so here enough, Jay. It says when Professor Marchbanks gave the word, proceeded to fill in the blank star chart he or she had been given.
Okay.
So I think that's it. Yeah.
I guess to me it's like maybe the star I'm still imagining the stars are already on them and you just have to label them, but that doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, well, certainly you can't look at like Orion in the sky and be like, oh yeah, it says Orion right there.
I know exactly. Like, what do you need to look up for? Although, speaking of that, it's half an hour passed, then an hour. The little squares of reflected gold light flickered on the ground below, started to vanish as lights at the castle window were extinguished. As Harry completed the constellation Orion on his chart, however, okay, so right there, 1 hour into this, Harry hasn't done Orion. Because let me tell you what, if there is one single constellation that like 95% of people know more than any other one, it's Orion's Belt, because it is the single easiest constellation to find in the night sky. Period.
It's three. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's more of it, but the belt at least is three stars.
The belt is three stars. You can see the hilt. You can see the top of it. It is one of the most obvious constellations. The fact that it took Harry an hour to fill in Orion is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like Harry, do better. Unless he's just sort of like, I'm going to save that one for the end.
Yeah, no.
The last delicious bite, as it were.
Last delicious bite. Also, that not to continue to just like mock Harry's ability at this particular subject, is Harry put his eye back to the telescope and refocused it. Now examining Venus. Venus? He looked down at the chart to enter the planet there. Like, dude, not only, I mean, if there's one thing you could probably do faster than Orion, it might be Venus and Jupiter. The next two brightest things in the sky besides the moon, okay?
And Sirius.
Yes.
You know, isn't that the...
Well, he better know that one.
He should definitely know that one.
He should know that one. But like, I'm sorry. It took you an hour to get to Venus, Harry. Someone who hasn't spent 5 years staring at a telescope at least once a week at the entire night sky, could find Venus, okay?
Yes, it does. It does.
With the naked eye.
There.
That one.
That one. Easy peasy. Anyway, so then this is where sort of the action begins because at this point in time, we looked down and the shadowy grounds and saw half a dozen figures walking over the lawn. If they had not been moving and the moonlight had not been gilding the tops of their heads, they would have been indistinguishable from the dark ground on which they stood. So you have to keep in mind that this is now happening. If the exam starts at 11, this is proper midnight.
This is midnight 30.
Midnight
Right?
30.
No. Yeah, it's been an hour. You're right.
Yeah,
Just
half
an
hour and then an hour.
Half hour
Yeah.
and then an hour. So just one. It's midnight. It's midnight.
Yes. And then even at this distance, Harry had a funny feeling that he recognized the walk of the squattest among them.
It was distinctly non-Taylor Swift-esque.
Yeah, and you could describe it no other way.
Yes.
Yes. Let's see here. Yeah, who seemed to be leading the group. He could not think of why Umbridge would be taking a stroll outside past midnight.
A stroll, Harry.
It's like, use more context clues, my guy.
She's a guy who can't find Venus. Okay, so
yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point. But let's see here. Somebody coughed behind him. He remembered that he was halfway through an exam, which I guess now halfway through means it runs till 1 a.m. He had quite forgotten Venus's position, which is surprising because it's obvious. He jams his eye onto the telescope. Ouch! He found it again and was again on the point of entering into his star chart when, alert for any odd sound, he heard a distant knock. Which is just like, goodness, how hard is she knocking on this door?
How hard is she knocking on this door? Also, I love the idea that Umbridge's whole plan here is to just like what do you think she's trying to do? Is she trying to like arrest him?
I
know?
I mean, it's a good point. Maybe, or at least have backup to escort him from the grounds in case he does exactly what he does.
I mean, I guess so, but like she's the headmistress, and if she's going to fire him, like, she can just, like, that's within her power, you know?
Right.
It's not like she's, I don't know. Like, that, it's like with Trelawney, it's like she was telling her she had to leave the castle, which I can't believe she hasn't done now that Dumbledore's gone anyway.
Right.
But, like, I do not like it, and I don't agree with her power, but if she wants to fire him, she can just do that, and he has to leave because she said so.
Well,
right?
and Dumbledore's just not there to step in like he was last time. Yeah.
Right.
So I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it seems shocking to me, but I mean, it will specifically say that I guess she was trying to avoid what happened with Trelawney. So
right. Well,
somehow,
then don't throw the person, like, loudly out in the middle of the entrance hall. Just, like, call Hagrid to your office and be like, you've been fired. You need to leave.
Right.
And then you just leave. And then that's that.
Right. Yes.
You know,
Yep.
Sneaking up on someone in the middle of the night is bananas.
It absolutely is. But it's also very Umbridge core.
It is. It's so Umbridge core.
Yes. Lights were on in Hagrid's house, and the people he had observed crossing the lawn were now silhouetted against them. The door opened, and he distinctly saw 6 tiny but sharply defined figures walk over the threshold. The door closed again, and there was silence.
They all go inside. That's great. I don't think I really clocked that before. I think I always thought they were like standing just outside the door.
Right.
The whole time. Yep. Figures were now moving across the cabin windows, temporarily blocking the light. All right. Let's see. He could feel Professor Marchbank's eyes on the back of his neck and pressed his eye against his telescope, staring up at the moon. Easy to spot. I hope he's labeled that one by now.
It feels like the moon would be like a good triangulation point
Yeah.
to like mark
Start
everything
here.
else
Right.
against.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. As Professor Marchbanks moved on, he heard a roar from the distant cabin that echoed through the darkness right to the top of the astronomy tower.
Wow.
Several of the people around Harry ducked out from behind their telescopes and peered instead in the direction of Hagrid's cabin. You feel like Umbridge would have almost like looked at the schedule and been like, hopefully nobody's on top of the castle tonight while I'm trying to avoid notice while doing this particular thing.
Oh, I know. What bad timing. And it's like, hopefully, especially, it's not that one Potter kid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Choose any other time.
How convenient for Harry that he happens to be up here to see it.
That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now Professor Tofty is going to start to lose control of the situation rather quickly and be like, try and concentrate now, boys and girls, he said softly. 20 minutes to go.
So maybe more like a 90-minute test?
Could be. Yeah. Let's see here. So Harry had mislabeled Venus. I'm sorry, man. And Mars.
He mislabeled Venus. He checked it twice and mislabels Venus and Mars. Harry, be better at astronomy, man.
Yeah.
Like, look, your godfather's name is Sirius, okay? That's like the brightest star up there. You got to get that one, right?
Yeah.
Orion's belt, pretty noticeable constellation. Behind that and the moon, Venus, Jupiter, and Mars are the easiest to recognize things in the night sky.
I understand.
All right? You looked at Venus twice and you wrote down Mars. What are you doing? This was before this happened.
Yeah, I understand. There was a loud bang from the grounds. Hagrid's door had burst open, and by the light flooding out of the cabin, they saw him quite clearly, a massive figure roaring and brandishing his fist, surrounded by 6 people, all of whom, judging by the tiny threads of red light they were casting in his direction, seemed to be attempting to stun him. "No!" cried Hermione. "My dear," said Professor Tofty in a scandalized voice, "this is an examination." And it's sort of like, Tofty, are you paying attention to what's happening? Because at this point in time, I think we might need to be putting the exam aside.
I mean, as I'm reading this, I'm just wondering, like, why on Earth, sorry, Mars, sorry, Venus, sorry, Earth, would this come to violence?
That was really good.
Thank you.
That was really good. Yeah, especially because it's sort of like, all I can imagine is that they were like sitting around the table in Hagrid's hut. Hagrid stood up, they all retreated, and then he kicks open the door to follow them. And it's just sort of like, now it's on.
Now it's on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're right. It is hard to imagine how you leave the hut and then start attacking.
Yeah.
But we all need to have a view of it.
We need to have a view. The real reason is that the reader needs a view.
That's right. Yeah. The jets of light seemed to be bouncing off of him, and he was still upright and still, as far as Harry could see, fighting. And then we're going to get a "Be reasonable, Hagrid. Reasonable be danged. You won't be taking me like this, Dawlish." Which
Dawlish?
Dawlish and Hannah Abbott are having a book.
They are Dawlish. I mean, quite literally here is just the book's favorite punching bag.
I mean, yes. Yeah, well said, because he is about to punch him.
He is about to punch him almost dead. Oh boy.
Yeah. Let's see here. Hagrid gave a howl of fury, lifted the culprit bodily from the ground, and threw him. The man flew what looked like 10 feet and did not get up again.
If I'm that guy, even if I'm perfectly fine, I'm like, yeah, I'm out of this. I don't really care this much.
It's not worth it.
It ain't worth it.
It's not worth it. Yeah.
No thanks.
Yeah.
None of them had ever seen Hagrid in a real temper before. I don't know if that's entirely true.
There is a moment with Karkaroff.
There's a moment with Karkaroff, is exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, when Dumbledore summons Hagrid, and then Hagrid goes and gets Karkaroff, and Karkaroff insults Dumbledore and spits at his feet. Hagrid is like, "Whoa there, Sonny Jim."
He's like, "Do not insult Albus Dumbledore in front of me."
Yeah, he basically holds him against a tree with one hand.
Yes.
And then he crumples at the ground too, probably wishing he didn't need to get up. So I think Hagrid has seen, or Harry has seen Hagrid lose his temper before.
Yes. And now at this point in time, Professor Topt is going like, "No, really, only 16 minutes left, you know." And it's like, okay, come on, get with the program, buddy, get with the program. But then at the same time, McGonagall has now kicked in the door of the front castle, which is sort of how I picture it.
I imagine it's like Kung Fu Panda, like entering a door, just like kaboom, karate kick.
That is exactly what I picture.
Yeah,
yes,
okay,
thank you for outlining it like that.
Yes.
How dare you? How dare you? And then Hermione's like, "It's McGonagall. Leave him alone. Alone, I say. On what grounds are you attacking him?"
Hogwarts. Those grounds.
Wow. I don't mean to step out of the canon for a moment, but was that a Project Hail Mary joke? Because there's a moment at the beginning of Project Hail Mary where he's quizzing his students on something, and he throws the bean bags every time somebody gets the question right.
Yeah.
And he says, "Who can tell me like the speed of light or whatever?" And then a character named Trong starts to answer, and then Abby interrupts and says, "Trong, the answer is Trong." And he's like, "What?" And it's like, you asked who could answer the question. Trong can answer the question.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. Yes. That's not what I was going for, but it is in the same line of humor.
Okay. Good. Yes. What grounds? Hogwarts. Yeah,
Hogwarts.
I love it. And then, unfortunately, this is like one of those moments that just makes you angry to read.
I know. No fewer than 4 stunners had shot from the figures around the cabin toward Professor McGonagall. Halfway between the cabin and the castle, the red beams collided with her. For a moment, these are people who can't hit anything else, but could all 4 get perfect aim on McGonagall.
Yeah.
For a moment, she looked luminous, illuminated by an eerie red glow, then was lifted right off her feet, landed hard on her back, and moved no more. Blah! Hate it.
Yeah,
Hate it.
Not at all good. It's just, yeah, it's especially because it's like McGonagall, you know, who is her comeback will be triumphant later on in this book, and it will be great. But yeah, this is extremely frustrating. But this is also a scene where, if you start to look at it again from like the larger context, with what's about to happen, where Harry will see the vision of Sirius being attacked, we are essentially, from a narrative standpoint, removing anyone Harry could have reliably gone to,
Right.
which would be Hagrid, McGonagall, Dumbledore, from the equation. So
Right.
anybody that Harry would normally be able to rely on in the event that he had witnessed such a thing are all being removed from the equation.
And Snape will still be there and actually help, but of course Harry doesn't think of Snape as someone he can like go to for help.
Exactly. Yeah. Then we get galloping gargoyles from Professor Tofty, which is a slight contrast to gulping gargoyles, which we've heard in the past, although we do hear both of those in the story. Tofty has now finally kind of gotten in on the action here.
Right.
Forgotten the exam completely. Not so much as a warning. Outrageous behavior. And then Hagrid's going to be like, cowards, ruddy cowards, have some of that and that. So I think at this point in time, he's literally just punching people.
Just punching people. Too bad he doesn't hit Umbridge, quite frankly. You know?
You're right. You're right. That's a good point. Yep. And at this point, Fang has also taken a hit, and Hagrid is going to throw Fang's limp body over his shoulders. Umbridge is going to be shouting, "Get him! Get him!" But Hagrid had turned and began to run with Fang still hung around his neck. Umbridge sent one last stunning spell after him, but it missed. Go figure.
Yeah, go figure.
Yeah.
You could hit, the four of you could simultaneously hit McGonagall at a long distance, but you can't hit the giant Hagrid at a much shorter distance.
Right, yeah. Couldn't hit the broadside of a giant.
Couldn't hit the broadside of a giant. Not that I think it would have mattered.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then there was a long minute's quivering silence, everybody gazing open-mouthed into the grounds. Then Professor Tofty's voice said in feebly, 5 minutes to go, everyone.
Yeah.
To which I wrote in, read the tower, Tofty.
Read the tower. And then it says Harry had only filled in 2/3 of his chart, which I guess is about right if they had like 90 minutes to do it and everything started happening at about an hour. So
That's a good point. Yeah. So he was on good pace.
He was on good pace, even though he's mislabeling everything.
Right. So finally, the exam is over. They walk haphazardly, they put their telescopes haphazardly back into their holders and dash down the spiral staircase. None of the students were going to bed. They were all talking loudly and excitedly at the foot of the stairs about what they had just witnessed. Hermione's like, that evil woman trying to sneak up on Hagrid in the dead of night.
And then Ernie Macmillan having a good chapter here, takes a break from studying.
Yeah.
She clearly wanted to avoid another scene like Trelawney's. Yeah. Hagrid did well, didn't he? No, that's not what he says.
Ron, yes. Yeah. Hagrid did well, didn't he? How come all those spells bounced off him? And Hermione's like, well, it'll be his giant's blood. It's very hard to stun a giant. They're like trolls, really tough. But poor Professor McGonagall, 4 stunners straight in the chest. And she's not exactly young, is she? And then Ernie's like, dreadful.
Well, off to bed.
Yeah, he said pompously. I kind of wish it wasn't pompously this time. Like everything Ernie says is pompous, but I wish in this moment he was just genuinely saying like dreadful.
I know.
Like earnestly.
Dreadful.
Yeah.
See ya.
Anyway, I'm going to bed. Gotta get up early for some more studying.
Right. And then Ron says, at least they didn't get to take Hagrid off to Azkaban, to which I'd be like, for what? For what?
Oh, yeah, right. Yes. We fired him and also arrested him.
Yeah.
At the same time, after we attacked him.
I know.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe after he hits someone, then they can be like, well, that was bad. We're taking him to Azkaban for that. But I don't know.
Right. Then you get the big question too, but why sack Hagrid now, said Angelina Johnson. This is where I go back to earlier with the smug look from Umbridge.
Yeah.
Because it really is sort of like, like he's been teaching much better than usual. Like,
right.
It's like this wasn't the moment.
Right.
Or even just at this point in time, we're at the end of the school year. It's like, you're going to fire him during O.W.L.s? Like,
right.
There's like a week of class left.
Right. Yeah.
And it's exams. This is not the moment.
Not the moment. Just wait for the exam results to come in and then claim they weren't good. Obviously, you're not going to be around for that, and they will be good, but you could say that. I don't know.
Yeah. Then I mean, there's a counter argument to my theory there, but it says she thought that Hagrid was. Iybelle says this. She thought that Hagrid was putting nifflers in her office, and Lee Jordan's like, "Oh, blimey, it's been me putting nifflers in his office." Fred and George left me a couple, which Fred and George just had nifflers.
They had nifflers. Say what now? Fred and George left me a couple. Wait, back up, Lee. We're gonna need some side quest information here.
That's right. Yeah. So all I can picture here is that Fred and George vacated their 2 4-poster beds in their dormitory, and Lee has been tucking in 2 nifflers every night into their respective beds.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love how Ron earlier in like Goblet of Fire is like, wish I had a niffler, could use some treasure. And Hagrid's like, you wouldn't like a niffler.
I know,
They wreck houses. And Fred and George are like, actually, we like nifflers.
We like nifflers.
How do you think we got a little extra gold,
A fair question, honestly. It goes back to the 37 galleons thing they have to bet Ludo Bagman. It's like, where did they get 37 galleons?
Well, apparently they had nifflers.
Exactly.
They're just digging up galleons. Rogue galleons people have dropped willy-nilly.
That's right. People do that. But yeah, then we get another little Lavender moment who says, I just hope Professor McGonagall's all right. And Colin says, they carried her back up to the castle. We watched through the dormitory window. She didn't look very well.
Thank you, Colin.
Yes, showing up kind of out of nowhere there.
Yeah.
But Alicia Spinnet's going to say, Madame Pomfrey will sort her out. She's never failed yet. But this is actually not totally true. Not that Madame Pomfrey maybe wouldn't be able to, but they do send McGonagall to St. Mungo's.
Yeah. But then it's nearly 4 a.m. before the common room cleared, which is just like, on the one hand, it's like, man, they were up late. But also, look at all the Gryffindors just hanging out, like across all of the years, all just like gathered together, concerned about their head of house.
Exactly, yeah. Because I mean, you've got Dean and Lavender, you got Colin, who's younger than Harry by a year. You got Alicia Spinnet and Katie Bell. Like,
Lee,
Lee. I mean, you got good representation going on.
Yeah. Full range of years.
Right.
So that's really cool. But then, it says Harry was so angry with Umbridge, he could not think of a punishment bad enough for her, although we will come up with one. The Ron suggestion of having her fed to a box of starving blast-ended Scroots had its merits, which I also would vote for.
There you go. And then it says he fell asleep contemplating hideous revenges and arose from bed 3 hours later feeling distinctly unrested. But
yeah, I bet.
Once again, he kept his mind distracted.
Exactly.
If nothing else. If not clear, distracted.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. Then let's see. They immediately recommence studying for history of magics. And it says that Hermione's notes on this subject were stacked 3.5 feet high. And I'm like, that's too many notes. It's too much notes.
It is. All I can think here is that parchment much thicker than standard paper.
It has to be like scrolls of parchment stacked 3 feet high.
I'm thinking about like a ream of paper and how many reams of paper, like for like a printer, you would need to stack up to get 3.5 feet. And you're talking like 6,000 pages.
You stack all of the Harry Potter books one on top of the other. Like, and that's not even parchment. Like, you're not getting to 3 feet.
No.
You know?
Certainly not.
Certainly not.
Yeah.
This is an insane amount of notes. It's too many.
It also,
where are you keeping them?
Paper is like one of those things where it's like you think about a single sheet, but like if you stack paper up, it's very heavy.
If you had 3 feet of paper, yes, that'd be a super heavy amount.
I mean, I would wager 50 pounds, if not more.
Yes, you were correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then we go into history of magic. And at this point in time, Harry is starting to be distracted. He is not only sleep deprived, but there's a wasp buzzing distractedly against one of the high windows. And he's kind of like going into like a fervor. So we get like a variety of different questions to which Harry is attempting his best to answer.
Yeah. We get to learn a lot about the Confederation of Wizards and troll rights and
Goblin rebellion.
Yeah, we really get an inside look into Harry's brain as he takes this exam.
That's right, yes. And this is another little relatable bit, but he began to write looking up, and again to check the large hourglass, and on the desk beside Professor Marchbanks, he was sitting right behind Parvati Patil, whose long dark hair fell to the back of her chair. Once or twice he found himself staring at the tiny golden lights that glistened in it when she moved her head very slightly and had to give his own head a little shake to clear it. And he's like literally trying to like read through her brain to think of like the answer to the questions.
Right. Yeah. Kind of like what is about to happen to him is his brain is going to have fake images planted into it.
That's a good point.
Yeah. But also like just a very minor thing where he's just sort of staring at the back of Parvati's head, you know?
How about that?
Yeah. It's like, remember that time at the Yule Ball when we danced that one time?
Right. Yes. What's our Parvari?
Parvari. Yeah. Parvari and cream filled donuts.
I don't hate it.
There you go.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so he's closing his eyes. He's trying to think, of answers to questions, goblins, this type of thing. There's something to do with Liechtenstein. And then it happens. He was walking along the cool, dark corridor to the Department of Mysteries again, walking with a firm and purposeful tread, breaking occasionally into a run, determined to reach his destination at last. And so we're back into the vision.
Okay. But also Voldemort has decided to try and plant this in his mind in the middle of the day. Does he think Harry's asleep right now? He kind of gets pretty lucky.
He does kind of get pretty lucky, yeah, because it's and it's interesting too, because Harry's had several nights of sleep, at the very least, but now he is actively awake on a small amount of sleep.
Right.
And he's kind of attempting to doze off. So I don't know, maybe there's a little buzzer in Voldemort's mind that's sort of his consciousness is slipping.
He's slipping. Time to go.
Let's go. Now's the moment.
Yeah. Or would he be doing this for the next 7 hours and he's like, whoa, that works so fast.
Right. Yes. So yeah, you're right. That's a good point. Yeah. Right away. Got him. So once again, he was in the cathedral-sized room full of shelves and glass spheres. His heart was beating very fast now. He was going to get there this time. When he reached number 97, he turned left and hurried along an aisle between two rows. But there was a shape on the floor at the very end, a black shape, to which I did capitalize the word black.
Me too.
There,
I was nice.
Yeah.
Very nice little pun there.
Right. Moving upon the floor like a wounded animal, which also is kind of poignant there because Sirius is obviously an animagus.
Yes.
Yeah. And so then the voice is issuing, take it for me. Lift it down now. I cannot touch it, but you can. And then Crucio, as Voldemort is now torturing Sirius.
Or so it seems.
Yes.
And then it says, you get the reveal. It says, you'll have to kill me, whispered Sirius. And there it is. The trap is set, the identity revealed. And Voldemort says, undoubtedly I shall in the end. To which that actually will happen, not by Voldemort's hand, but he will die. And of course, I think he would die long before he lifted the prophecy down, because as he so plainly states in Prisoner of Azkaban, he would have rather died than betray his friends.
Exactly, yes. And so I wrote that exact thing in here, and it was obviously none of this is real, but I absolutely think that that's what he would say in this particular moment.
Yes.
But then he says, think again, we have hours ahead of us, which is kind of a good window to establish, because it's going to take a long time for them to get there. And so the fact that it's established as hours, it means that we have hours.
We have hours, yeah. And it says, and nobody to hear you scream. And it's even that is a little bit interesting, because Harry knows this at the Department of Mysteries. He has no idea how this particular building works yet, or whatever. Nobody to hear you scream. Obviously the ministry's there. There's tons of people to hear him scream.
Right. Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And although it will be interesting later, because I think Hermione is going to point out that it's the middle of the day, there's tons of people there, Sirius can't possibly be there.
Yeah.
But then we will have the unusual circumstance once they finally arrive, where in fact there is nobody there.
There is nobody there, because by the time they get there, it's after regular work hours.
Exactly. We also have a bit of an expansion of theory on
of course,
that one as well.
Yeah, in the middle of the day right now, and Voldemort and Sirius are the two most wanted wizards of all time. So
yes, also that. Let's see here. So we have hours ahead of us, nobody to hear you scream, but somebody screamed as Voldemort lowered his wand again. Somebody yelled and fell sideways off a hot desk onto a cold stone floor. Harry hit the ground and awoke, still yelling, his scar on fire as the great hall erupted all around him.
Boom. And that is going to bring us to the end of chapter 31.
Yes, we're going to look forward to chapter 32, Out of the Fire. But before we close out today's episode, Jay, do you have a review for us?
I do. This comes from Pope James IV. So second attempt. Hello, dear brothers. Long time, first time. Was listening to chapter 29 and had a thought. If Dumbledore's office seals itself to Umbridge, could Harry get in? He knew the last password and could have used it instead of Umbridge's office both times. Or was it possible Dumbledore could have come back and that's why the office sealed itself? Love the show and the content. Thanks for making travel go by faster.
It's so funny that we actually brought that exact detail up during this very chapter.
Yeah, right.
The idea that Dumbledore could just theoretically still be using the headmaster suite.
Right. He's just still up there.
Yeah.
He just can't get in. I changed the password. So that's it.
Although I think we know when Harry returns from the Ministry that is not the case, because the portraits are going to say, oh, does this mean that Dumbledore's going to be back? It's been very dull indeed.
Yeah.
Which I think means that the office has just been vacated.
Yeah.
And then obviously they also have the line that's sort of like, this office is sealed to any but the rightful headmaster of Hogwarts, is the other line that they say there. And I think that's like basically the portraits of the castle saying like, and we know this anyway, but the castle does not recognize Umbridge as the rightful headmaster.
Right.
Which, I mean, there's a couple of different thoughts there where it's sort of like the Ministry's not supposed to have the overreaching arm that it does have at Hogwarts. And it's supposed to be independent from the government. So Umbridge's appointment as far as the magical protections of the school, it doesn't follow the due process the school requires, which makes you wonder if there is some kind of like ceremony involved with the passing of the baton. Like if Armando Dippet, bestowed, or introduces Dumbledore to the gargoyle that guards the rotating staircase or something, something that like ultimately signifies to the castle, like, I, former headmaster Armando Dippet, am now granting upon Albus Dumbledore, the new headmaster, the position of headmaster, which, obviously Dumbledore would not do on behalf of Umbridge.
On behalf of Umbridge, yes. And like whatever the Ministry says, the castle clearly doesn't recognize her as the headmistress and won't let her up into the office. The question is, could Harry have gotten up there?
It's a very good question. And I think on some level, I don't think Dumbledore would have opposed it, like Harry having access to that particular space. The greater curiosity is like to what extent Dumbledore could put someone on the list, so to speak, which is almost sort of like,
I feel like Harry could have gotten up there if he really wanted to, because on the one hand, obviously like Dumbledore, loves Harry and he's his favorite student. And if there's a list or some sort of like protocols he's put into place, I'm sure Harry's allowed in.
Yes. There's also a mild precedent at the end of Deathly Hallows.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up. When Harry himself walks up to the gargoyle after the battle and the gargoyle's just like, just go on.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Just, you know what? It's been a long night. So go on up.
Right. Yes. But a lot of this place is destroyed right now.
Yeah.
So,
feels like the gargoyle has some say in it, and the gargoyle obviously knows who Harry is.
Yes, definitely. So I think that there's at least a distinct possibility that Harry would have access to the headmaster's office. And I mean, it's just like another one of those things though, that like we complain about it all the time. So I'm sure people are tired of hearing it, but like to me, I feel like Harry should have become Defense Against the Dark Arts professor after leaving Hogwarts. And then I think he should have become headmaster as he gets older.
Yeah. I agree with that.
And all I could figure is that if we get like expanded learning from, the greater wizarding world after Harry's time, is that he will be Auror for a period of time and then ultimately like step down. And then it will be like you, the consumer of the story, are comfortable with Harry's real world experience aside from his battle with Voldemort to teach Defense Against the Dark Arts in the same way that like Moody is selected for being an Auror.
Right.
For the job. Do you follow my meaning there?
Yeah.
Like it's almost like, Tom Riddle shows up immediately after and asks Dippet for the position. And he's sort of like, no. And it's like, despite the fact that Tom Riddle is one of the greatest students and Armando Dippet doesn't have the same suspicions as Dumbledore, he still declines him.
Right.
So it could be the case that there's some of that. Of course, there's a huge difference between Harry and Tom Riddle at the end of the day, but it's just a thought.
Yeah. Yes. But either way, that's going to bring us to the end of today's episode. Make sure you join us next time for chapter 32, Out of the Fire, here on Through the Griffin Door.
Today's episode was edited by Iybelle Christley. Vaishon Brandon does our art. Catherine Stein is our production manager, and the show is hosted by me and Jonathan Carlin.